Hello, everybody, and welcome to Church at Home with Rachel for Thursday, March 6th, I think, day after Ash Wednesday. In reading through, in part of my daily office, I've been using this book, Celtic Daily Prayer, Book 2, and it has readings for the day of the year, but it also has readings for each day of the month. And for day 6, being the 6th of March, this is what I read. I would like to share it with you. It's kind of like a poem. When I look at the blood, all I see is love, love, love. When I stop at the cross, I can see the love of God. But I can't see competition. I can't see hierarchy. I can't see pride or prejudice or the abuse of authority. I can't see lust for power. I can't see manipulation. I can't see rage or anger or selfish ambition. I can't see unforgiveness. I can't see hate or envy. I can't see stupid fighting or bitterness or jealousy. I can't see empire building. I can't see self-importance. I can't see backstabbing or vanity or arrogance. I see surrender, sacrifice, salvation, humility, righteousness, faithfulness, grace, forgiveness, love, love, love. When I stop at the cross, I can see the love of God. And that's written by Godfrey Birtill. Lots of times I have said here on Church at Home that I'm a Christian. I am a bishop of the Anglican Church in Canada. And of course, I'm going to share my faith and hope that others will recognize that. But I usually say, I'm not here to proselytize. If you don't believe, that's okay. If you have questions, that's okay. But today I want to challenge you, especially those who do believe but are sort of sitting on the fence, or those of you who are thinking that maybe we're all, phooey. I want to challenge you, not because I want you all to just believe in Jesus and become Christian, but I want to ask you the question, when you hear that poem and you think about what can be seen if you look at the cross from that perspective, if you look at the cross not as looking at it and thinking people hung a man there, but if you think about the cross and think a man chose to be hung there, a man, Jesus, chose to give up his life for all of those things that we just said, for surrender, sacrifice, salvation, humility, righteousness, faithfulness, grace, forgiveness, and most of all for love. When we look at that, we look at the cross from that perspective, and we keep in mind what we don't see on the cross, the competition, hierarchy, pride or prejudice, authority, lust for power, manipulation, rage or anger or selfish ambition, unforgiveness, hate or envy, stupid fighting, bitterness or jealousy, empire building, self-importance, backstabbing, vanity or arrogance. Does the cross not begin to seem a little bit more impressive, a little bit more enticing, a little bit more attractive? We are living in a world right now where it feels like we're really being challenged by that very question. Do we look and emulate and put our trust in all of those empire building, lust things, those, I'm going to say it again, competition? Do we put our trust in competition? Do we put our trust in hierarchy? Do we put our trust in pride or prejudice or abuse of authority? Do we put our trust in the lust for power? Do we put our trust in manipulation? Do we put our trust in rage or anger or selfish ambition? Do we put our trust in unforgiveness? Do we put our trust in hate or envy? Do we put our trust in stupid fighting, bitterness or jealousy? Do we put our trust in empire building? Do we put our trust in self-importance? Do we put our trust in backstabbing, vanity or arrogance? Or do we more want to put our trust in surrender, sacrifice, salvation, humility, righteousness, faithfulness, grace, forgiveness, love. I can I can see the point where people are you're standing in between those two things. You say sacrifice and salvation and forgiveness and all, like, those are big words that, and they require something of me that I don't know if I'm ready to give. All of those good people things, all of those Christian things. And that's okay if you're standing in between and you're saying, I don't know if I have the energy or I have the faith or I have the ability to do all those good things, like, because it takes work to be, to surrender, to sacrifice, to be saved or help to present salvation, to be humble, to be righteous, to be faithful, to offer grace and forgiveness, and to offer love. That takes work. It does. No questions asked there. It takes work. The rest of it doesn't. To lean into empire building, to lean into people envy and hate and fighting and jealousy and unforgiveness and rage and anger and selfish ambition and lust for power and abuse of authority and pride and prejudice and hierarchy and competition, those really don't take that much work. Those are easy to fall into. But the question becomes, when we fall into them, chances are, if you're watching this video or you're anybody who has time to do so, you aren't one of the people who's going to benefit, and I say that loosely, benefit from any of those things. You're not one of the billionaires. You're not one of the millionaires. You're not one of the high up politicians who somehow is padding their nest, their retirement nest. You're just an everyday person who, in the end, if you lean into those things, because that's just the way the world is going, it's just the way we have to accept things, you're not going to benefit. You're not going to be saved. You're not going to be benefiting from all of the riches that are gobbled up by others. None of those things are going to help you. But if you lean into the other side, if you lean into the cross, if you begin to wonder, maybe this whole Jesus thing isn't hooey, maybe believing in someone greater than me, which is exactly what politics is about, believing that someone who has more authority, more ability to do something, believing that they will have your best interest at heart, is similar to believing that God would have your best interest at heart. It's figuring out which basket do you put your eggs in. And I'd like to invite you to think about this. I'd like you to think, if you are not Christian, I invite you to really think about this right now. What would be the harm in investigating putting your eggs in the basket with Christ, where you will see not only that you have an opportunity to surrender, and sometimes surrendering means you can give up the fight. It's hard to hang on when you're fighting. But when you surrender, if you surrender to one who is good and kind and loving and who will receive you as through the love and the grace and the forgiveness, when you surrender into those things, you can relax. You don't have to fight and be tight and tense anymore. You can relax. Sacrifice. Yes, Christians are called to sacrifice, but we're not called to sacrifice our children or rabbits or, our paychecks. We're called to sacrifice our hearts, that we would reach out to help other people. And I can tell you, doing something kind for someone else, even when it takes a sacrifice on my part, it is always 100% of the time worth it. It really is. The sacrifice is worth it in the end. Salvation, I'd rather be saved by goodness than be saved to think I might be saved by any of those other things. Humility, I've spoken about that in the last couple of weeks. There is nothing wrong with being humble. There is nothing wrong with being humble. And if you're not there yet, trust me, try it. Allow yourself to be humble, and you'll find it's beautiful. Righteousness, who doesn't want to be righteousness? The word right is in the word. Leaning into the thing that is correct, leaning into the thing that in the end is going to win out. Righteousness. Grace. Hey, we've all experienced grace from someone or something out there in our lives that has made us feel so beautiful. relaxed and able to let things go. Leaning into Christ means leaning into grace. Forgiveness, even if we struggle with the whole why do I need to be forgiven thing, I bet you anything we've all had those moments when we realize when someone has forgiven us for something we've done, some boneheaded, stupid thing we've done, and we feel bad about it. And they say, it's okay, I forgive you. And we feel good. And those moments when we've held on so tight to a grudge and we finally said, you know what, no. Even if it's just for my own sake, I forgive. That feeling that washes over us when we let go of the bad stuff and we forgive someone else. And then, of course, love. Nothing beats love. Love of a parent, love of a child, love of a spouse or a friend. The love of God. The love of Christ. So yes, today I am being absolutely proselytizing. I am absolutely saying, try out Christianity. Try out faith. And I'm not talking, Christian nationalism. I'm talking about good old-fashioned believing in Jesus faith. Give it a try. You might be pleasantly surprised. Have a great day. God bless you. And I will see you again tomorrow for Church at Home with Rachel.